Everyone talks about how cheap the Philippines is. Here's what we actually spent in our 4th full month in living in Metro Manila. Stick around to the end to find out what our largest expense was.
All right, guys. Good
Welcome
morning.
back. Good morning.
Good morning.
This budget isn't a guess. This is our actual expenditures, exactly what we spent, including things most people leave out, including us in our previous month's videos. All right, let's go. Let's take a look at the numbers. First category is housing. We're in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo. The rent for this condo is 30,035 pesos a month. Now, the 35 pesos is the charge we have to transfer the money from my Wise account to my landlord. Next in our housing category is the electric. Now, we have 2 air cons that we run pretty much all the time when we're here. We were here we went away for 11 days in March. So we were here 20 days, ran the air con. We don't keep it super cold. We keep it about 24 degrees Celsius. And the previous month, our electric bill was 7,020 pesos. This month, it went up to 81.22, so 8,122 pesos, or 135 US dollars. So I think it went up simply because it's gotten hotter. The average temperature back in February was probably around 30 as a high during the day, 30 Celsius. Now it's running like 32, 33, and even in the past week or two, it's been like 34, 35.
It's very hot.
It's getting hot. Like the hottest season is April and May. So that's most likely the reason the air conditioning and the electric bill is a little higher. But $135, that's for a 3-bedroom condo. I don't think that's very high at all. But our water bill went down. So this month it was 266 pesos, which is $4.43. Last month it was about 100 pesos more. So, I'm not talking a significant amount of money here, but it did go down. Not sure why. I guess, again, we did travel 11 days, but in February we were gone for like 9 days. So I don't know why, but it was slightly down. I'll take it. Other housing related expenses that I put in this category is our parking. We rent a parking space. How much is that, babe?
2,000 pesos in a month.
For a motorcycle spot. Now, this isn't a car space. It's just a little teeny.
It's just a motorcycle only.
Yeah, it's probably like 8 feet by 3 feet wide or something. The last thing I have under housing expenditures is, of course, our Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi is...
The Wi-Fi is 1,568. That's included Netflix.
Yes, so that is a big, nice perk on that Wi-Fi. So we have the Netflix. All right, so the total for our housing ended up being...
The total is 41,981
pesos, which is $699.68. So, yeah, that's a pretty large expenditure, but that's everything. That's all the utilities. All that is for just about $700. 3-bedroom condo, pretty nice. We have things like swimming pools, security. There's a lobby where you can, sit down and entertain yourself. They even have a library there. Our drinking water is included in that price.
Yes.
So we
have 5 gallons.
Yeah, you can fill up, I think, for a 3-bedroom, I think we have 8 5-gallon refills down at the water station free a month. Yeah, so what is that, like 40 gallons of free water, drinking water? Now, we barely use one a week. So also trash removal, and we have a mail, I won't call it a mail service, but it's like a package room, or if you have something, if you ordered something on Amazon from the U.S. or Shopee's or whatever here locally, they deliver it to this mail room and it's secured, and they notify you when it gets there that you have a package. So that's nice too. So that's all included, and just you know, I think it's a good value. When I look back and I look at my rental history, I had a 2-bedroom apartment in Maryland, not even in like any of like a popular metro city or what, not like Baltimore City or Annapolis or Washington. It was in like a little boondock little town outside of the city by about an hour. And I paid $1,350 just for this really not even that nice 2-bedroom apartment. It had no amenities, still had to pay utilities on top of that, no swimming pool. In fact, there was a lot of Section 8 housing people in the apartment. That's how cheap of an apartment complex it was. And it was $1,350 a month. I can't even tell you how much of a value the Philippines is when it comes to housing. Now, the electric is kind of on par with U.S. rates, but I think you'll find if you're coming here that you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck when it comes to rents and all your housing expenses. All right, our next expense, and probably one of our largest, we'll see how it all pans out here at the end, but is food. Okay, so we spent 4,992 pesos at mostly SM Market,
Yeah.
but also Robinson's.
And S&R.
Well, no, that's not the SNR number.
It's not?
Nope, that's just for the grocery store. So 49,092 pesos there. And then we spent, can you read that number?
Yeah, and then we spent 12,254
Pesos at either SNR and Landers. Well, not either. It was at both. We shopped a little bit at Landers. Wasn't a whole lot. A couple thousand of that was at Landers. But the majority of that 12,000 pesos was at SNR doing a very large haul for meat. Yeah, we kind of buy like meat in bulk once a month or once every 6 weeks or so. And also, we mostly eat Filipino food. So even though we go to SNR and Landers, which has a lot of American brands, we really eat kind of local, right? You cook like almost all the meals. The only thing I ever make is like American spaghetti and meatballs. Yeah. And only because I can find that at SNR, like the meatballs are already made, and I just make the pasta and all that. You make all kinds of local Filipino dishes.
Yes, because you don't have an option, babe.
That is true.
I didn't know how to cook
unless I want to starve
food.
to death, I have to eat what she makes. No, I mean, you can go to SNR and I could buy, I think the very first month I bought like a pack of like a dozen frozen hamburgers and some buns. And we made those for, the first few weeks or whatever. Yeah. But I find that if I want a burger, I just go to McDonald's. I don't like to eat fast food a lot, but we do when we're traveling. It's just convenient. You're driving along on a motorbike, you pull into a McDonald's and you get lunch. So that brings me to the next part of our food category, and that's dining out. Now, we spent 11 nights in hotels, resorts, or condos that we rented either through Agoda, mostly through Agoda. We stayed in places like Baguio for 5 days. We were in Batangas for a couple nights, Tagaytay for a few nights. Yeah. We even spent one night in Makati doing a video there. So we ate out 100% of those days that we were on the road. But anyway, all the eating out that we did mostly was on the travel. When we're not traveling, it's pretty rare. Like maybe we'll go to the mall and we'll get a bite to eat it for lunch because we're out shopping or we're out entertaining ourselves. Like we went bowling this month and went to a movie and all that. But for the most part, we eat here. Yeah. But when we did eat out this month, it totaled up to...
The total is 13,944 pesos.
What we spent dining out, just about as much as we spent buying groceries. And the groceries bill was, for about 2/3 of the month. Yeah. And the dining out, we only were gone 11 days, about 1/3 of the month. So, dining out can be expensive. Now, is it more expensive than in the U.S.? No. You're definitely getting better value. Like we usually eat out at a sit-down restaurant. It's going to be around anywhere from 1,000 to maybe 1,600 pesos, which is like $20 to $25 for the two of us. Yeah. So, It's pretty reasonable. But the total for our food haul for the month was,
Oh, wait.
when I point, you read.
I always shock, guys. Yeah, the total of our food for the month is 31,190 pesos.
Which is $519.83. So yeah, we spent a little more on, we spent just slightly less on rent than we did on food. Now, I think that's a little high. Now, we don't drink. That's another thing to keep in mind
Yeah.
with these budgets. Yeah, we're not partiers. We don't
Yeah.
go out to bars. We don't have a glass of wine with our dinner or beer or whatever. Sorry, guys. To each their own. I just don't care for it. And you may find your numbers are going to be higher. If you like to get your drink on Friday night, or you like to go to the bar, push the price up. I don't know by how much. I showed in our S&R video when we went through the S&R store some of the prices for hard liquor, wine, beer. So you can go back and look at that video. I'll link it above, and check out some of the prices for that. But keep in mind that we don't drink, so there's no real alcohol in this 31,000 peso budget. All right, so our next category is travel. So like we've already mentioned, we were gone 11 days, which was a little up from February's numbers, but not by much. I think we were in February, we were out of the house 9 days, I believe. We don't stay in fancy resorts. You can watch our videos on our travel playlist. They're kind of like 3-star hotels, nothing super fancy. We did all of these trips. This is another caveat. All of these trips were done on our motorbike. So this monthly travel number does not include any flights or any other transportation costs. We rode everywhere on the ADV scooter motorbike to all of these locations. We even drove all the way up to Baguio from Metro Manila, which is about 8 hours. That was not done, we didn't rent any cars, we didn't fly on any planes. We hardly took, I don't even think we did any grabs or taxis or anything this past month at all. So it was, 100% on the ADV. Anyway, the hotel stays totaled up to
17,520 pesos.
Which is $292. So not bad for 11 days stays. So we had some stays where we were paying like $20 a night, and then we had a few other places that were closer to $50 a night. So that brings me to our transportation category. We own a Honda ADV 160, if you didn't know. So I went back and I pay cash for my fuel when I go and fill up, but I kind of went back and reimagined all of our trips and everything, and when I thought we filled up and how much I thought we spent. And I think I came up with a pretty accurate figure of about 2,350 pesos, which is just about $39.17 to be exact. But so just about $40, a little less than $40 unleaded gasoline. Now, prices have gone up. Most of these trips, like when we went to Baguio, prices were starting to go up. And just to give you an example, when I filled up here in Bacoor, prior to leaving, I paid 65 or 68 pesos. Then we went about halfway, and I decided, or maybe we got close to leaving the valley and heading up into the mountains, and I topped it off because I heard that it's expensive in Baguio to get fuel, just in general. So I topped it off, and at that gas station, it was 78 cents a liter. So it had already gone up like 10 pesos in like 2 days. And then when we got to Baguio, it was like 85 pesos. And then when we came back down and I filled up again, it wasn't 85, but it was still like 80 or 79 or something pesos. And by the end of the month, I was paying, when we went to Batangas, I think I paid 95 pesos a liter down in Batangas. But the prices have come down slightly. The last we filled up, I got 88 cents. But that was in this month. That was just like 2 days ago or 3 days ago. All right, next category is clothing. We spent
Spent 4,521 pesos.
just about 75 US dollars on clothing this month, down from other previous months, which I assumed would happen. I came here, if you didn't see any of my other budget videos, I came here with one little suitcase. So I've been adding shirts, like this is the shirt that I added this month. That's part of this number, these 4,500 pesos. So I don't think we did much more than buy me like another 2 or 3 shirts this past month in that budget. So kept it kind of low. And I think going forward, that's probably about an average that we can probably live with, about 4,000 to 5,000 pesos a month. Okay. Next up is our cell phones. Now I pay mine, so Lorna's, we'll get to hers in a minute. But I pay a combination of a US phone number and a Filipino phone number. So my US line is through Tello, and it doesn't have any data or anything. It just has a couple minutes of calling or whatever, no matter where you are in the world. And it allows me to get pretty much text messages from back in America and even phone calls. And I pay $6.24 US for that. And then here I have also a Filipino local phone number also on my phone. And so I have an eSIM for that, and I have a physical SIM for my Tello phone number, and they both work simultaneously on my phone. And the Globe they do it a little different. They only give you, the best price is a 15-day period. I think it's like 8 gigs, and it's like 179. It is 179 pesos.
Yeah, that's 16 gig.
Is it 16 gigs? Okay, I hardly use a gig of data on that phone. I mean, I'm always here on Wi-Fi or when we travel, when we're in hotels. And when I'm not in the hotel, I'm not hardly using it for anything more than maybe pulling up Google Maps. To total for the month, well, the Globe adds up to 358 pesos, plus the $6.24. To convert that all into dollars, it ends up being $12.21 total for my cell phone. You're going to need to keep your American phone number, so I would highly look into using Tello. I've had people comment before about using Google Voice, and not all banks and institutions that want to send you a one-time phone code, like a text message to log into an app or a bank, especially a bank app or any type of financial app like that. A lot of them don't allow you to use a Google voice line. They know it's a Google voice line and they won't accept that. So I think Tello is the way to go, but do your own research. All right, next up is entertainment. This month we spent 640 pesos to go to one movie.
Yeah, that's for both of us.
That's for the two of us, yeah. And then we spent 560 pesos going bowling. So I think we do this about once a month.
Yeah.
We've bowled like 3 or 4 times, and it seems like it's once every month. And we've caught a few movies. So that only totaled up to 1,200 pesos, which is exactly 20 US dollars for entertainment. So finally, our largest expense was cash. Now, in months past, I didn't disclose this, use cash for lots of different things here in the Philippines. Some of the things, like our parking space and our housing, the Wi-Fi, the electric bill, the water bill,
Fuel.
That comes out of the cash bucket, and I give that cash to Lorna, and she pays it through her GCash account out of her Philippine bank account. But I also give Lorna money so she doesn't have to work, and I don't have her going away all day for 8 hours to do menial work.
It made me lazy woman.
I turned her into a retired lazy woman, yes. And that's another thing. When we travel, we work around her school schedule. So we can't travel willy-nilly. There's always kind of breaks in between.
Semester
She
break.
calls them semester breaks. They're really between different modules. Also, out of the cash, we do dine out occasionally. Now, this month, I made a very conscious effort because it makes it much easier to track with my Wise app through my Wise Visa card. link in the description below, and here is the video that explains how Wise works, because if you haven't seen that video, I would highly recommend you check it out. I go into depth on why I like Wise and why you should want one. Get this app and credit card as well. We can't always put food on the Wise card. Okay, if you're out and you're on the street and you're buying food at a street food at a vendor or whatever, they're not going to take they're not going to take credit card. Even some restaurants we've been to, they're like, no, we don't take credit cards. Okay, so like one of the nights in Batangas, I think we did a video on it a couple days ago where she takes over the channel, I think is what it's called. That surprised me. It was a pretty established place, but they didn't take credit cards. So I always make sure I have a few thousand pesos in my pocket so that if I do go out to dine, they may not take credit cards. They don't always have little signs that say Visa or MasterCard or whatever accepted here. Oh, I also use cash at convenience store purchases. And then, of course, she's not working. So I give her cash so she can support her family a little and to pay for her tuition at the school. Now, none of this is a lot of money, all right? So don't everyone get bent on the comments about, oh, I'm supporting a whole Filipino family.
No, it's not.
She's one of 11 children. So she's not the only one that gives a little bit every month to her parents who are in their 60s and don't work anymore, and still have the youngest daughter, I believe, is in college still. So, it's not a lot of money, and they take care of your sons.
It's only enough,
Yeah. So that's going to change next month, but right for the moment, this is how much I spent in cash, and I can't really divide it accurately into all those little categories because I just don't go around asking for receipts and I'm just doling it out. But I know how much money I spent on cash withdrawals. That I can absolutely track because I take every single cash withdrawal right out of my Wise account. So out of that Wise account for the month, I spent 32,800 pesos. Now, also out of that, I forgot to mention, I had to go and get my ACR card last month, and I had to do it, and at the same time, I did a 2-month extension on my Visa. So that ended up being 6,978 pesos, which is $116.30. So a good portion of that was just the ACR, because they don't take, at immigration, they only take cash. You can't use a credit card or check or anything like that there. But that 32,800 pesos is $546.67. And again, I would say about half, I'm going to say about half, maybe even slightly less than half, is for your college tuition and for your family support. To each their own. And again, in the comments, I don't want to hear all this chatter about you're supporting a whole Filipino family. I know. It's not, you guys, it's not like that. I'm not building her family a house here, okay?
My family, they have house already.
Yeah, her family is pretty well to do. And like I said,
4-bedroom. They have a living room, they have a kitchen, and they have a full 4-bedroom house.
Yeah, and we're going to be going there in, well, not, when this video comes out, we're going to be in her province visiting her mother and father and picking up her 2 sons. So, but, before I get to the grand total, things that are going to change next month and will make our budget probably go a little out of whack is mostly because we have a lot of life changes that are about to happen. First and foremost, by this weekend when this video comes out, her sons will be living here in our 3-bedroom condo. So we've had comments, why do you have such a big condo for the 2 of you? Well, we knew this was going to happen. They were living with her parents so they could go to school and she could go to college and work and do all that. And then they come and stay with her normally over summer break. Well, summer break started at Easter, but we couldn't get down
Vacation
there.
with
Well, we
me.
couldn't get down there because there wasn't a point in going and picking them up that quickly, because we're going to fully take them back and they're going to live with us and go to school here locally. To do that, you have to have all this paperwork from the
Yes.
schools, and the schools couldn't get that together that quickly, so we had to wait another week after school got out before that paperwork got produced.
Yeah.
So that's ready for us, and now we can go and pick them up. I don't think a whole lot's going to change because, again, I've been giving her the money that she's been sending to her parents to support her sons. So I don't assume that that'll change, but maybe the utilities will be a little more water usage, a little more food, maybe. But again, I'm already paying kind of the food bill remotely through her allowance every month. So, and then also school part of your classroom
Yes.
work is ending at the end of May, and the next school year for the kids starts somewhere in like mid-June or
Yeah.
second week of June or something like that.
You're right.
So we don't want to put, I don't want to live in Metro Manila.
It's
So the
very-
cat's out of the
yeah.
bag. I'm not a city boy.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of am, but I just don't like it. It's so hustle bustle. It's so hot. The air quality is so bad here.
It's very
It-
nice, guys.
It's nice to visit, but
Yeah.
I don't know what the appeal
So
is
loud
of
here.
living in Metro Manila. I mean, maybe if you're a New Yorker and you just got to have sky rises and skyscrapers or whatever, and go live in Makati or
They
BGC.
love malling.
I guess if you like going to malls all the time,
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the only thing to do around here, quite frankly, is to go to malls. There's hardly anything else to do. So we're going to make a move. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet. We have some videos where we're coming up here that will explain all that. So stay tuned. If you haven't, subscribe so you don't miss out on these coming videos on where we're going. Right. Drum roll. Brrr. Our grand total for the month of March, we spent
We spend a total of 132,294 pesos.
which is $2,205. So $2,200, okay, for a full month with travel, with supporting her sons, with everything included. Now, to be totally transparent, I included the fact that I spent all this money in cash in previous months' budgets. I just never disclosed what all that cash was used for. So don't think that my January or my December or my February budgets are off. They're not. That money's there, but I wanted to kind of caveat that because I think a lot of other expats are doing the same thing. You can't expect your Filipina just to drop everything and be your girlfriend full time while you're in retirement and think that she doesn't have responsibilities back home or even personally. You know, out of also the money I give Lorna, she pays her own cell bill. She buys some of her own clothing on like Shopee's, and
I'm not panic buying of the Shopee, babe.
I didn't say
I
you
don't
were.
want them to think that I always have a Shopee every week. No.
No.
I think
I'm
this
not.
one is a
Let's not.
one.
You bought a bathing suit, and it
Yeah,
showed
that's
up. I'm
it.
like, oh, you bought a bathing suit. I don't care. It's her money. You know, she can do whatever she wants with it.
Yeah.
She could have asked me, and I would have bought her the bathing suit too. So it doesn't matter that you spend very little money outside of giving it to
Yeah.
your family. So, what surprised us the most this month with our budget, I would say how much we actually eat out. Like, I was shocked that we spend more money eating out than we do going to the grocery store. I mean, I don't know about you, but that to me it seemed like it was larger than our grocery hauls. And in past months, I was using cash a lot, and
Yeah.
this month I decided if I could get
Use your
if I could get it on the Wise account
Yeah.
and I could track, as much of the dining, and only 5% or so, maybe 10% was in cash. So it's not a lot more, but it's hard to say what the actual dining expenditures were because, it's part of that cash bucket. I know what my total nut that I spent this month was. I know exactly I spent $2,205. So as we already said, next month a lot of changes coming, so stay tuned for that. Now, what do most people get wrong when they're thinking about coming to the Philippines and they're looking at budgeting? I think they think everything's going to be cheaper. And yes and no to that answer. Some things are going to be cheaper, like your housing costs are definitely going to be cheaper than back in the West, especially the U.S., and especially if you live in a more affluent or expensive area like New York City or anywhere really like in the metro areas of all the major cities. You're going to pay more and you're spending $800 for a 2-bedroom apartment. You're not going to see a significant difference in cost depending on where you live here. But there's the other caveat. If you're coming to the Philippines and you're thinking Metro Manila BGC, 30,000 pesos, you can probably find something, but it's not going to be a 3-bedroom like this one.
It's
going to be like a 1-bedroom or more likely a studio.
Studio.
It's all supply and demand, you know. And if you move to like Dumaguete, which I think is one of the most popular expat areas in the Philippines, and the rents are like significantly cheaper than most major cities like Cebu, Manila, Davao. So keep that in mind. If you can get more small town like Rojas City, Iloilo, Dumaguete, they're going to be a little less expensive than your Cebu, your Manila, and your maybe even Davao. So, you know, and there's plenty of other places. I can't even begin to name them all. You know, that's one of the things everyone thinks they're going to get a big savings, but it depends on what you're looking for and how nice it is. Like I said, our condo, if you haven't seen our condo tour, check that link right here, and you can see what a 3-bedroom condo for $500 US a month gets you. So, as I said, not factoring, another reason that people get it wrong is they're not factoring in their lifestyle. Like, are they drinkers? Do they go out partying? Are they going to be traveling constantly? If those things aren't in your purview, if you're not planning on doing extensive traveling, if you think you don't drink, or you think you're going to live in a province area that's way more affordable, then your budget could be less. But just keep that in mind. Sometimes people are comparing apples to oranges. Like, they're coming from, again, not to pick on anything, but like, say you're coming from like an inexpensive state like that, where you're in a little town or rural area and you're paying $400, $500, $600 a month for a little 1-bedroom. It's going to be pretty much the same here if you go to like Metro Manila. But if you take that same dollar and move to Dumaguete and live in Darwin or someplace outside of the heart of the city, you might be saving a little money, but you might have a whole nicer lifestyle for that money. So just keep in mind, you can't really go and compare things, apple to apple. And then again, some people want luxury, and that's going to up your budget, and other people want to live very local, very modest, and that can obviously save you money. So that's, I think, what people mostly get wrong, is they don't understand that luxury here in the Philippines can be less than normal in the United States. So like in the United States, you could go and get this condo would be very basic. My 3-bedroom condo would be very basic in the U.S. It would not be considered a luxury or a fancy condominium complex. The kitchen, the bathrooms, the size of the bedrooms, the living space, it's pretty tight. It's only 80 square meters. So, all right, so this is your section, babe. This is my Filipina perspective here. So what do you think a normal Filipino spends a month to live here in Metro Manila?
It depends. If the Filipino, they have a house, they spend for food like 10,000 in a month for their family as well, or sometimes 15,000 pesos for the food. And then
What about rent?
But if they live in Manila, the rent is around 7,000 to 8,000 pesos. It depends of the house as well. Like if the house is 1-bedroom, so that costs like 7,000 or 8,000. Yeah, it's very depends of the location. Manila area is expensive.
Yeah. So I mean, Filipinos can live in the same condominiums, of course they do, that the Westerners are flocking to in BGC and Makati. But I'm saying I'm kind of beating around the bush saying like your average Filipino family.
Average.
probably spends around what a month in total? What would a family of 4 that has a house, not an apartment, but has a townhouse or a little single family house?
Yeah, 30,000 a month or 35,000 a month, and then they
That's
rent
in
it.
total.
Yeah,
That's
a
not just the
total.
rent. That's food, utilities, everything.
Yeah.
So that's how Filipinos live. And to think you as a Westerner are going to come in and live that cheaply is not going to happen. And not in Metro Manila. You're not going to want to live in some of the neighborhoods that she's mentioning. Now, maybe in the province you could get somewhere in that range, you know, which is again only like $500 US. But you know, I get a lot of people going, my budget's going to be $1,000. I'm going to live like the Filipinos do, and you certainly can. You know, God bless you. You can go rent a 3,000 or 2,500 a month room in a house with like 5 or 6 other roommates, and have a common kitchen and a common bathroom, and spend only 2,000 or 3,000 a month in just to rent your room. But there's no aircon. There's no, you got like maybe, you know, a light overhead and an outlet or two.
They can get as well the condominium that 12,000 in a month.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, they exist, but I don't know.
That's a studio type only. 12,000 or just like a 20,000.
It's going to be pretty basic though.
Yeah.
It's certainly not going to have aircon. I'm not kidding, babe. You look around all these units over here, and almost all of them have their windows and their sliding glass doors open, and a lot of them don't even have air conditioners in the space where an air conditioner is supposed to go, in the window, you know, knockout cage thing or whatever that you see in these units like over here. They just don't, even in a nice condo complex like this, they just don't use a lot of electricity. They don't use aircon. And I just don't know how they do it, because it's been getting into it's like 36 or 37 degrees today, going up to, I mean, it's early, it's not early in the morning, it's late morning now. It's a little warm right now, but I don't know how they do it. But that's how Filipinos survive on these low budgets. So, you know, is it worth coming to the Philippines? Well, obviously I think so. I wouldn't be here, and we wouldn't be making, you know, larger plans for our future together. But you have to decide if this all makes sense for you. That's up to you. But I think a realistic figure for a single guy coming here is probably $1,500 a month. I could see how you could probably rent, you know, a place for $400, you know, a little studio condo somewhere, and then have enough for a little bit of travel. Certainly, you know, eating well. You're probably going to eat out more because it's just you and you don't want to cook a lot, but maybe you could knock it down a couple $100 by not eating out as much. But, you know, somewhere in the $1,200 to $1,500 range could certainly be done for a single person. You know, if I look at our numbers, we spent $2,200, and that's for 2 of us, and she's supporting her sons and her parents a little bit. All right, again, next month, we got a lot of changes coming up, so stay tuned. Don't forget to
subscribe to our channel
and hit that thumbs up button, because next month you're going to want to follow along as we go through a lot of changes here on the channel. And comment below, do you think $2,200 a month is high or low for living in Metro Manila? And until next time, bye.
Bye.